Ah, weary traveler, I hope your night's rest did you well. Come, have a seat. I've made some bacon, and we have fresh bread as well. What's that? Oh, of course. You're not content with how Coral's story ended? I see. Well, I did promise that his journey was not yet over. So, where was I? Coral had met a man in a cathedral deep in the woods. One who promised he could be reunited with his dearest beloved. But, of course, everything is not always what it seems. Coral was visited by a spirit, a ghost, you may say, of his beloved Henri. Although she did remind him that she was not gone. She would always be by his side, for she had left behind her straight sword. A sword that wasn't the sharpest, nor the longest. It wasn't made of the greatest steel. Some may say it was just simple and plain. Many others would cast it aside entirely. But no, Coral, he realized the strength that this simple, straight sword would bring him. It had been months that Coral had been simmering in his rage. He had almost gone mad, nearly forgetting what he enjoyed about the battle. The heat of the heavy armor and the clashing of steel, relishing in the moments of victory and understanding the errors in defeat. Having this calm, this peace wash over him as he was reminded that his dearest Henri was never going to be gone as long as Coral could keep the memory from fading. So he set down his Corvian great knife in his chaos glaive and his great sword of judgment in favor of wielding this simple and plain straight sword that Henri had left him. And over time, Coral found his vision began to clear. The red that he was surrounded with began to dull ever so slightly. He was no longer driven and fueled by anger or rage or hatred. And though the grief of his loss was still there, he understood that all things will never truly leave us, even when they are lost. You see, Coral was able to keep the memory of Henri alive by honoring her in battle, using this plain and simple straight sword. This brought Coral great strength, and it improved its appreciation for this sport of battle, of fighting, of killing, and of dying. He was no longer alone. No, for he would always have Henri by his side. But even more, he was able to find others just like him. Others who had long forgotten what made them special. As he continued to meet these others and charge into battle with his newfound friends, he understood it wasn't even the straight sword. It was simply keeping the memory alive, honoring those that we have lost, remembering the time we shared. And so, in time, he picked up his Corvian great knife, and he picked up his Chaos Glaive, and he picked up his great sword of judgment. Now a champion of the lost, a champion of those who have departed, a champion of the unkindled ones. He continued to be fearless and brave, and with his newfound companions and this feeling of friendship, he gladly charged headfirst into battle, regardless of the odds or the outcome. He only knew one thing. That's what he reminded himself every time. Coral, simply do your best. And so he did. He would charge out with his Corvian great knife and his Chaos Glaive and his great sword of judgment. And he would charge into battle. He would administer punishment to those who trespass on these sacred grounds. And he would leave nothing on the battlefield. Every ounce of Estus and bloodshed and grief would stay on the field of battle. In Coral, he would celebrate his victories, and he would learn from his defeats. I know, it can almost bring a tear to your eye. Redemption. We can all hope for redemption. And though we may experience loss and suffering, it helps to know that better things, they are ahead. And so, as he would charge out into battle, fearlessly taking on 3, sometimes more, opponents at once, he only knew one thing, and that's that he was happy. He would charge into battle with a smile, because there was nothing to fear. Nothing to fear at all. Because Coral will never be alone again. Some believe Coral is still out there fighting. Others whisper that he's gone across the fog to the lands between. But Coral will never die.